In Valorant, if you enjoy being able to support your teammates with multiple forms of crowd control, then you should become a controller main. Not sure which controller fits your playstyle the best? Well, look no further as we go into detail about each controller agent and what niche they bring to a team comp. Before we dive into the controllers, let's take a look at some terminology we'll be using in this video. Area control slows down enemy momentum not through damage or stuns, but by limiting vision and second-guessing decisions, such as smokes, blinds, or flashes. Area denial completely stops enemy momentum by different means, such as damage, stuns, or slows. If enemies walk through an area denial, it will cause damage or crowd control. Mobility are abilities that give agents a way to traverse the map beyond just running and walking. We will also be discussing controller subclasses that they can play in as well. Each controller has the ability to smoke, but each uses their smoke in different ways. Let's start out with our first controller, Brimstone. Brimstone is your standard designed controller character. He has the ability to place 3 smokes, which is the most amount of smokes in the controller class. His smokes are also the longest duration smokes with a lifetime of 19.25 seconds. To use his smokes, Brimstone uses a device to be able to see a certain amount of the map and can click on a location to send a smoke. Compared to other controllers, Brimstone has the shortest smoke placement range, which counteracts the amount of smokes and the duration of them. He also has a form of area denial with his Molotov. It is a standard molly dealing decent damage and stopping enemies from moving in the area. He also has a form of team mobility with his stim beacon, which gives any teammate who steps in the area a speed boost and increased fire rate for a certain amount of time. His stim beacon is an extremely important ability as it allows for faster rotations and site entries that enemies aren't used to. Brimstone's ultimate, Orbital Strike, is the biggest area denial ability in the game. Using his smoke device, Brim can call down a huge AoE strike after a short windup. It deals immense damage over time and anyone caught in the radius will become, as Brim says, deep fried. With all of Brimstone's kit combined, you can see how he is somewhat a controller initiator hybrid. With his stim beacon in multiple forms of area control and denial, he can clear angles and sights for your duelist. If you enjoy a classic kit that doesn't require too much outside the box thinking to be valuable, then Brimstone is the controller for you. Omen is the controller duelist hybrid that a lot of people love. Omen has the ability to place 2 smokes anywhere on the map by being able to enter a phased world and clicking on a spot to send a smoke. Omen's smokes last 15 seconds, but they are on a rechargeable cooldown of 30 seconds, making him able to cast more than 2 smokes per round. He also has great mobility with his Shrouded Step ability, which has 2 charges, allowing him to teleport a short distance and reach higher angles. His Paranoia is a game-changing area control ability if it hits multiple enemies. Omen sends out a blinding orb that if it passes through anyone, blinds them for a duration. This ability is great for entry as it can leave the whole defense blinded while you enter the site. His ultimate, From the Shadows, is a map-wide teleport where Omen is able to click on a location to teleport to that area. Once teleported, he gains limited vision in the area and has a grace period to either confirm his teleport or cancel it and go back to where he spawned. This ultimate is great for lurking and confusing the enemy. With the ability to cancel the teleport, Omen can spot enemies for free without taking any damage. He can act as a sentry, or can take matters into his own hands and confirm the TP and take the duel. He can also teleport with the spike, so many Omen players will rush one site with the team to get all of the defense on the same site, then teleport to the other site for a free plant and retake scenario. If you like supporting the team through trickery and confusion that will make your enemies second guess their decisions, then Omen is the controller for you. Now onto Viper, who is the most unique controller in the game. Viper doesn't provide the same smoking ability as Omen or Brim, but rather has a completely different area control ability in her Toxic Screen. Viper is a must-have on maps such as Breeze or Icebox because of this impactful ability. Her Toxin Screen is a wall that Viper places that cannot be destroyed. This wall pierces through terrain and has one of the longest ranges in the game. Once activated, a toxic wall appears, limiting vision on both sides and stalling enemy movement. Her wall, if stepped through, applies her passive, Toxin, to the enemy, which is an immediate 30 HP decay that continues to decay 10 HP per second if they stay in her wall until they are at 1 health. Once out of the wall, the decay will stop but will persist for 1.5 seconds before the enemy starts to regain health. All of Viper's area control abilities apply Toxin to the enemies, so keep that in mind. She also uses a fuel bar, which her area control abilities use as well. Her fuel bar is a rechargeable energy bar that powers up her toxic wall and smoke. Once the fuel bar is depleted, the wall or smoke will go down, and Viper will have to wait for her fuel bar to recharge a certain amount before being able to cast again. Viper also has a smoke that is the only controller smoke that is a thrown projectile. This smoke can be picked up again and be used multiple times throughout the round. She also has a form of area denial with her snakebite mollies. They deal less damage and have a shorter duration compared to Brimstone's molly, but they provide the vulnerable debuff on enemies, which makes enemies take double damage for a duration. Her ultimate is quite possibly the strongest ultimate in the game. Viper's Pit is essentially a massive smoke that Viper and her teammates can stand in. Her ult's duration is indefinite as long as Viper is inside of her own pit. Once she leaves the pit, a timer starts, and if she does not go back into her pit before the timer ends, the ult will disappear. Inside Viper's pit, enemies have their vision reduced, minimap disabled, and are decayed through her toxin passive. Viper gains enhanced outlines of her enemies in her ult, gaining a glowing red outline, while enemies see Viper without a highlight around her. Viper's Pit is the best ultimate to use on a site as attackers once the spike has been planted. Using her ult on the spike means that enemies not only have to clear the site, but also have to clear her pit as well. Most of the time, a good Viper ult will cause the enemy team to just give you the round, as they don't want to deal with dueling in her ult. With multiple lockdown abilities and 2 area control abilities on a fuel bar, Viper can be played as a controller sentinel, being able to hold a site on her own. If you enjoy being a unique controller with some of the best lockdown potential and one of the best ults in the game, then Viper is the controller for you. Finally, our last controller is our Ghanaian queen, Astra. Astra has a unique ability to see the whole map from a bird's eye view with her passive, Astral Form. Every ability Astra uses deals with her Astral Form. Astra has the ability to purchase 4 stars every round, and it's the only thing she can purchase as all of her abilities work off her stars. Once she enters Astral Form, she can place, recall, or cast her Astral Stars anywhere on the map. Astra has some of the best setup ability in the game, with being able to see the map as a whole and being able to get that perfect star location for any scenario. Astra relies on great communication and timing from the person playing her. Once she places the star, Astra can toggle the star to become one of 3 different abilities. Her first ability she can make out of the star is her smoke, which lasts 14.25 seconds. She can also fake her smokes, which will recall her star and create a smoke for 1 second before it disappears. Her recall ability is great to block vision for a split second to potentially get on the other side of a wall or a certain location. Her second ability she can use on her stars is her concuss. Similar to Neon's concuss, if enemies are in the radius of the concuss, they'll be slowed and have their rate of fire reduced. Her last ability she can use on her star is her Gravity Well, which sucks enemies into the middle of the star and applies the vulnerable debuff on them, making them take double damage for the duration. This ability is Astra's bread and butter, and why when she was first released was a menace to fear. Her Gravity Well not having 1 but 2 forms of CC being a suck and damage modifier are both extremely powerful utilities. Astra's ultimate, Cosmic Divide, allows Astra to place a map-wide wall at her disposal. Astra's wall has no height limit, meaning that her wall is endless. Bullets cannot go through her wall, but abilities can. Sound is also dampened on either side of the wall. Astra's ult is essentially a free plant on any site, as the wall is incredibly powerful in that it blocks bullets and enemies may not even hear you on the site because of the dampening effects. Astra, like Viper, can be considered a controller sentinel as she has similar lockdown potential as Viper, but just a bit harder to execute. If you enjoy a playstyle that sets up utility and unpredictability, then Astra is the controller for you. Well, those are all the current controllers in the game. Hopefully our next agent release will be a new controller to splice up the controller meta, but until then, which of the 4 controllers fits your playstyle the best? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.